episode 5 of our Cyber Sunday series. Cyber Sunday is a special initiative by Project CyberShield aimed at reaching the maximum number of individuals and spreading awareness about cybercrime, preventative measures, remedies available to victims, and future challenges in the evolving digital world, their environment we live in. So today's theme is safe screens and digital well-being is not just relevant but essential because digital safety is no longer only about passwords and privacy, it's also about mental health, emotional resilience, and health technology habits. It is now my absolute honor to introduce our distinguished speaker for today's session. We are joined by Ms. Nirali Bhatia, a leading cyber psychologist and psychotherapist with over 20 years of experience in web technology and deep. She is certified cognitive behavioral therapist, an internet addiction therapist, a TEDx speaker on cyber psychology. Key role, she heads V4 Web Technologies Private Limited, working on secure digital solutions and also reserves as director at V4 Web Cybersecurity, recognized among India's top cybersecurity firms. She is the founder of Cyber BAAP on anti-cyberbullying initiative, through which she has conducted over 100 awareness sessions. Additionally, she is a corporate trainer for Posh and has conducted more than 200 workshops on cyber impact and digital parenting. Her expertise has been recognized globally and nationally. She has delivered sessions for UN Women, UNICEF, National Commission for Women, NASCOM. She has also appeared as an expert on Times Now, CNBC, Z News. Notably, she served as a psychologist on the show MTV Troll Police, where she addressed the psychological impact of online trolling. She is also an executive committee member at the Council for Fair Business Practice. She has honored as one of the India's top women influencers in cybersecurity from 2020 to 2022. We are truly privileged to have you today, ma'am. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over the mic to you.
Thank you so much, Lakshita, and a very good morning to all of you all who are present here today. And also thank you to Naksh Foundation for taking up this initiative. I must also thank Advocate Rashi because she's been really very patient and persistently following up with me for the dates. So once again, thank you everyone. I will just take a minute to share my screen. Just one request that the moment I will share my screen and run my presentation, I won't be able to see any of y'all. So if at any point I am not audible or my screen is not visible, just unmute and let me know. Otherwise, I wouldn't really be aware that, okay, I'm not visible at all. Yeah, so just a second and I'll share my screen. Just let me know if my presentation is visible. Yeah, is my
It is
presentation visible? Okay,
it is very much
perfect.
visible, ma'am.
All right. So, like Lakshita has set a context that why do we really need to, spend a Sunday morning understanding that how do we make the screens around us safe and how they can impact our health at various aspects, not just emotionally or mentally, but also physically, sociologically, and in many other aspects, right? So, what I'm trying to focus today is like, I don't believe that technology is a problem or screens are a problem. I think the problem is where we do not know how to manage them. So, let's begin to see how we can identify that is the screen a problem for me at what stage. each one of us will have a different level of comfort with the screen and its impact will vary. So let me start by this question that what's the first thing that you touch every morning, or maybe say what's the first thing that you touch this morning? If you see there are a couple of objects on the screen, you all can just unmute and let me know that yes, maximum of you or some of you have are you touching maybe say an old style alarm or books or paper or your coffee mugs, or is it your digital device?
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am, but the screen
Yes.
is appearing blank.
Oh, really? That's surprising because I can see the screen. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it
change
is
it.
visible.
It's visible now. I think maybe it's loading slow. That's the reason.
It is visible now.
Okay. So I'll again make it full screen. Yeah. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Perfect. Yes. So if some of y'all can, because I won't be able to read the chat comments. So if y'all can just unmute and let me know what's the first thing that y'all touch in the morning. Let's look at it for today morning. That what are the things that you touch? Don't put in chat because I can't read them. When I share my screen, I only can see my screen, nothing
Priyansh, you
else.
can unmute yourself and
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, we can hear you.
Ma'am, first thing I touch generally in the morning is mobile phone.
Correct. Maximum of us, I believe, have now got, in the momentum of touching the first thing as our phones. Either we are putting it on charging, either we are snoozing alarms, either we are reading emails over there or checking out chats or social media. Multiple reasons, one device. What does this tell us? That is actually not a screen problem. The problem is about regulating because screen is used for multiple uses, but what you use it for and how well can you regulate your time on it is where the problem lies on. Now, this touching first thing in the morning is as good as you wake up and you breathe. If you breathe good quality air, your health is going to be fine and you are going to have a nice, healthy, and a productive day ahead or a positive day ahead. Similarly, when you wake up and you're touching your screens, the first thing, what you watch on screen is what is going to shape your thoughts and your actions and behavior. See, it's a cyclic pattern, right? What we think is what we act and behave on, and what we act and behave on is what we think and speak as well. So it's a cyclic pattern. So that's where you all need to intervene. That what's the first thing that I open on my phone besides my snooze screen, right? Most of us may have alarms, and then that's where we are snoozing. But after that, what's the next thing that you do on the screen, and how well can you regulate? That's the question that you need to start internalizing. Nobody else can decide for you. Yes, if you're young, your parents who are concerned for you may keep reminding, may keep nagging you that phone rakh do, hath mat lagao, subah subah phone mat use karo. But they can only do to a certain extent. The choice is yours. And through this presentation, we'll see that why do we need to intervene at this and why do we need to think about this. Yes. So moving forward, see anything that we do on a daily basis starts, becoming our habit. And very soon that habit, if we have not regulated it, can convert into dependency and then move to a clinical addiction, right? So very metaphorical, simple example over here is brushing. Right from childhood, we are taught to brush. Now, brushing is our habit or is our addiction? It's certainly our habit at this point of time. I am not sure if any one of y'all is addicted to brushing. So there's a difference if you see in the definition that if you do an activity on a daily basis without it impacting you, without it impacting your other chores, without it affecting your mood, it still stays in the habit category. But the moment move away from that and start, like, maybe you're not able to stop brushing after 2 minutes. You continue to brush. You end up getting late for other work because of this. That's where it can turn into addiction. And with screens, this is very easy because there are multiple things that we do on the screen. See, when you're brushing, it's only brushing. You can't brush anywhere else but your teeth, right? But with screens, you can do multiple things. So the danger of you crossing the habit to an addictive behavior is very, very high. And that is the first and the foremost reason why you need regulation. Screens are not going anywhere. Now they are part of our lives. They are very integral part of our lives. Our education, our communication, entertainment, everything is through screens. So we don't ban them, we don't move away from them. We only empower ourselves that yes, identifying, am I at a habit level? Am I at a dependency level? Where, see, the difference in habit and dependency is that, okay, I'm spending a little more time than the regular. My lot of work, my lot of thinking, my behavior, my mood is quite dependent on my interaction with that particular action, is where dependency stage is. From dependency to addiction is a very thin line, and 90% of people slip in very fast. So it's for you to identify at what stage are you with your screens. So there are a few factors which can help you take your that power back. Number one is that your attention. What you give attention to is what is going to become a habit very soon, and then it can change into other areas like dependency and addiction as well. When we talk of attention, why is it important? See, the way our brain learns things is not by logic necessarily. Logic only helps us restore that memory or reproduce that memory, but the brain learns from repetition. If you're going to give it the same thing every single day, it will start learning that yes, this is important for you, and this is what becomes your habit eventually. That's where, on the screens, where you pay attention to what you're paying attention is extremely, extremely important. And remember, your attention is just not free. What you are paying in return for your attention is far more costlier than even your new currency, which is data today, right? We when we started this whole social media and a digital media era, we were told that our data is the new oil, and data is what is so important. Today that data comprises also of your attention. Gone are the days where the algorithms are only studying what you're liking, what you're posting, what you're watching. No, they're also studying your eye movements. They are also studying where you're paying how much attention, where are you moving your mouse, etc. So that's one aspect of this. And the second aspect is where, in terms of what are you empowering? Your attention has the power to either make someone overnight sensation and go viral, or cancel. So that's where you need to be very, very careful with it. Yep. Like that's exactly what you said, that with your attention your brain gets trained. It gets trained to identify what is important for you, what's your habit, and what is that is going to control all your decision making abilities. So very important that you pay attention to it. Now, what is current usage of yours? Like, you all have all right now your devices around you. Go in your screen times and see where you're spending most of the times. 90% of us spend maximum time on various social medias cumulatively. And why and how is that impacting? Are these three most common factors. Number one, that what you're sharing, what you're forwarding, what you're liking, what you're commenting on, these are your currencies, right? Like I said, that you have the power to make something viral or to cancel it totally. But at the same time, the same content is also bringing in a lot of envy, comparison, which is what is giving rise to imposter syndrome, which is what is giving rise to low self worth. Like, for example, if you in the morning get up and go on LinkedIn, the first thing, LinkedIn only showcases people's achievements. Now, when you are looking at only one aspect of someone's life, which we call it as a highlight reel, what it tells you somewhere deep down, it starts adding a very, very subtle form of envy that, the world is doing phenomenally well. Everybody is successful, but I am not. I am nobody. Do I even deserve this? These are the questions which are going on in the subconscious, and we are sometimes not even aware of that. So this is what the social media brings in. And when I say social media, it's not necessarily just an Instagram or or a Snapchat or a TikTok, etc. It's also your YouTube, any platform where you have options to interact with multiple people. So be it LinkedIn, be it WhatsApp, be it YouTube, be it Twitter, so many other platforms. That's where this, and every morning if you feed comparison to yourself, it is going to impact your self-worth in a big way. And another very common aspect and a very subtle one is that multitasking. Screens make it very easy to multitask. Show me one phone which only has one app open, right? There'll be minimum 3 to 4 apps open. Some of us who are aware that yes, multiple apps can slow down our battery life, etc., we will be little aware and we will use it immediately, put it off, use it immediately, put it off. But many of us don't do that. What I'm trying to say is that one activity at a time is what brain can process in a better way. What we are feeding it is multiple activities. So for example, right now you all are attending this session, but parallelly your phone is in your hand. You're also checking out, because sometimes the lecture can become boring, so you're checking out what's going on other platforms. While cooking there are screens, while driving there are screens, while composing an email there are screens. Everywhere multiple activities is what we are constantly doing. Think about it, that when was the last time that you sat down doing only one thing? So let's say if you're watching a match, you're only watching a match. Your phone is not around you. You're not eating together. You are not talking to somebody. Just one activity at a time. That's what we need to give to our brain. Now, all these special impacts of the screen usage. How does it impact our health? So there is a cognitive impact where the constant comparison is going to put you in that kind of anxiety and stress. You'll have self worth issues, and of course, the validation. You know, in earlier days, when, let's say, for example, I do a lot of workshops and trainings, physical and online both. Now, whenever I'm leaving house, I get ready, I look into the mirror, and my inner dialogue is awesome. Go make a most of your day. Today, there is an extra step involved for all of us. There'll be a selfie, you put it across. Now if it gets a reaction, it's a problem. If it does not get reaction, it is still a problem. So that starts affecting your self confidence. If there is no reaction, you feel, oh my god, what is wrong? Am I not looking good enough? Am I not putting out something which will have any kind of reaction? And if it gets a reaction which is not very pleasant, then again there is a problem, that okay, now your mood has changed. Now it's impacted you in a way where you start doubting yourself. So that's what I mean by the validation dependency. Think about it, that is your thought, is your idea 100% yours? Yes, there will be peer influence, but how open are we to difference of opinions? That's what screens have made us very, very reactive. If something that you have liked and shared with somebody and they don't acknowledge it and they revert back to you saying that I don't agree to this, or there is some disagreement in your opinions over there, very quickly it moves from a simple discussion to a bullying and a trolling discussion. That's how the screens impact. It impacts emotionally because you're in that constant phase of instant gratification. You constantly are dealing with reduced attention span and digital dementia patterns. Now, these are the growing trends that we have seen in young users. Dementia is a condition where your brain stops being able to save any kind of new information. No new memories are formed. You can only recall some old ones which are in some corners of your brain, right? And this is what we are seeing. And normally, dementia kicks in after the age of 65 or 70, and it's also genetic. But the digital dementia is about not being able to remember what you just saw. Doom scrolling is a classic example, and it's visible in users as young as 6 and 7 years old. If I ask you, if you're scrolling for last 15 minutes, and if I ask you what did you see, there'll be one thing that you will be able to recall, that one thing which gave you a little bit of validation, and that dopamine loop which kind of puts you in that mood ki ha maza aaya to aur scroll karo. But it does not allow you to think that 19 reels did not give me maza. It was the 20th one. So that's the same concept of gambling, where it keeps you hopeful and it keeps you in that loop of reward, that yes, make an effort and you will be rewarded soon. So that's what it does. Socially, ironically, the name is social media, but it actually cuts you off. And today, with AI coming in, the social impact is far more bigger. No longer are people, or especially young people, wanting to talk to their peers, interact, share their ideas, deliberate on them. They are preferring a chatbot over it. Why? Because chatbot is always accessible, always available. It's not judging you. It is only and only, it's like an echo chamber. What you believe, it is going to enhance and tell you, yes, this is good enough, kind of. So what it is doing to us is that it is not allowing us to experience human relationships in its totality. Human relationships are made of both positives and negatives, pleasant and unpleasant, uh, you know, op- shared opinions and disagreements, both. But we are not able to. The moment there is disagreement, it always is on the edge of becoming bullying or trolling or aggression. And it's also the online disinhibition effect. Disinhibition is where there are lack of boundaries. In an online world, these boundaries are not visible at all. And plus, we are in charge of making our boundaries. See, in a real world, society has formed certain boundaries. You cannot behave in a certain way in a society, even if you wish to, right? But in online world, there's absolute freedom. So there's anonymity, there is no accountability, and there is a lot of authority because you're sitting in the comfort of your houses and the comfort of your devices and believing that I am not visible and I can get away doing anything without being responsible for my actions. So that's what the disinhibition effect is. When I did MTV Troll Police, it was a classic example. All these trolls, they were ordinary people. In fact, one of the youngest trolls was probably 21, who was Tapsi Pannu's troll, actress Tapsi Pannu. And the kind of sexual language that he had used for trolling was unbelievable. In my 40 years of life, I had not seen that kind of language and words. But when I met this student in person, he was one of the most humble, most respectful, and a literature student, Shankaracharya student. So this is what the screen can bring out when there is no boundary around us. And this boundary we are supposed to create. That's the beauty, or that's the learning that we need to become good digital citizens. Now, besides these invisible impacts, because most of these are not visible physically, we also now have started getting physical impact. Because any kind of prolonged emotional, social, or cognitive impact will have a psychosomatic effect, means it will start showing in your physical health. So sleep disruption is the most common. Physically, of course, blue light exposure. COVID has, been talking about this for a very long time. We also have posture related issues. We have spine related issues. We have dry eye syndrome. And we have tons and tons of cases of growing obesity in the youth in our country, because your life has become so sedentary. Even when children are on the playground, they're still with their screens and sitting and not doing. So that's where the entire passive consumption fatigue comes from. How do you identify that my screen usage, is it healthy or unhealthy for myself? So these are some red flags that I have identified and put here for you. So when you are offline, you're a little restless, you're a little irritable, you're just waiting that when will I go home, when will I charge my phone, when will I get access to the phone. For students who are not allowed to take their devices in their schools and colleges, they are all the time waiting. If that is where you are, then yes. If your work or academic performance starts declining, that's another red flag. If you are not comfortable sharing your device with people you trust, if there's something that you need that nobody else can know about you, I am not confident to tell about this, I will be judged over these, then these are your red flags. Because if you're not doing anything which is making you uncomfortable, there should not be an issue of sharing it or about it or it with somebody you trust. And the constant anxiety not only in terms of battery low, but in also terms of FOMO, that okay, I've not seen the screen, I don't know what's happened, how come I don't know about this, I'm not the first one to know about this information. And lastly, the most subtle red flag is where every time you feel emotionally charged, you use that screen to escape. Let's say you're working on an assignment and you feel stress, so you'll quickly go on the mobile and start scrolling to feel that kind of escape. Or if you're on a work deadline and you're getting pressured and you're scared or something, that emotion is overwhelming, you will use the screen to escape. In work culture, initially a lot of people got into smoking habit because of this, like an escape. And today it's being replaced by the screen. Anything which is used in imbalance, in imbalance or extreme, is going to be detrimental, be it smoking, be it alcohol, or be it even screens. Why also, besides all the impacts, there are other factors for which why we need to make sure that our screen usage is safe. So number one, remember that your digital footprint, whatever you do online, leaves a footprint, and it's a permanent footprint. If even if you delete your account, you delete that post, you delete that comment, it can still come back to hound you. And there was a very very good example of this. I think it was in the year 2015 or 16. One of the Indian students got a full scholarship admission at Harvard. Harvard University is lot of us or many of us' dream university, right? And imagine a full scholarship for a doctorate program. He was so elated, and in 2 3 days, his admission was revoked. The reason being an inappropriate tweet that he had made 2 years ago. That tweet was an extreme opinion on certain religion. So this example, and it was all around on national television. This example lets us know that how your digital footprint can cost you your career, your future, your relationship, all aspects. So you have to be very careful of what you are leaving behind you. And the footprint is not just your likes and comments, it is also your feed. What you watch, what you consume is also your footprint, right? The another important aspect is your profile, or it's the oversharing. When the parents do this, it is called sharenting, and when we adults do this for ourselves, then it is oversharing. See, because there is an disinhibition effect, oversharing becomes very easy because you don't visibly see the danger. You are only in a comfortable place, safe place of your house, your office, your college, with friends, etc., and through a device that looks very very pleasant and it makes you feel pleasant by touching and scrolling, etc. so you can't see the danger. Simple example, let's say if you're going on the road and somebody taps you from behind and says, "Ki, hey, you look so beautiful, can we be friends?" Will you immediately turn around and say, "Oh, thank you, yes, yes, we can be friends, this is my number, let's talk"? No, right? Why? Because we are able to perceive that threat. I don't know this person. The visuals can tell you that, okay, is this person looking safe or is this person looking harmful, etc. A lot of cues are there. But on a screen, it's very difficult. We do exactly the opposite. When on any social media platform, whether it's your WhatsApp, whether it's your Instagram or Snapchat or anywhere else, if somebody is, comments on your DP, on your story, you reply with a very pleasant this thing, or sometimes you even accept that a new follower, right? So this is what screens can do, and invisibly the danger is invisible, and that's what it can make you vulnerable. You end up sharing a lot of information. A lot of hackers and perpetrators use social engineering, which is they befriend you in the conversation and pull out a lot of personal information. Third danger is in terms of image based abuse or sextortion scams. So we are willingly sharing our pictures, um, and using a lot of AI tools in some cases, just out of curiosity. I have cases where young users, 18, 19 years old, just out of curiosity, they run and they came across an ad which said that, try how you will look 20 years later. How will you look if you have biceps and if you have six packs and all. So they click their photos and then, they use those apps to, it starts with very simple that, okay, let's change your face and see how you will look 20 years down the line, or how you will look when you're 40. And then it keeps pushing you ahead. Like, okay, now let's see that, what if you have six packs? So then it will start undressing you and show you your six packs. And this curiosity can go anywhere, right? So I had this case where this young boy, he was just getting bored at home. Exams were over and his friends moved back to their hometown. So there was nothing to do. He was playing a game where we saw this ad which said that, have you tried how would you look if you had six packs? And that's got his attention. He's like, "Well, let me try and see," and he was very happy with the result. So then he tried for his friends out of fun. There was no malicious intent over here. Then he also tried for his female friends that, okay, let's see that, how would they look in a bikini, or how would they look in this kind of environment, or even nudified. So this is how it can suck you in. Now this is self. But there are also instances where, individually, I have worked on more than 200 cases of sextortion where young men are targeted. You get a request from, a social media account which has a girl's profile and it's a pretty girl's face, and she starts talking to you. And because we love to meet, make new people, meet new people and make new friends online, we accept, we start talking, and very quickly she will ask you to do a video call. And when you accept the call, you will see a video clip that, that girl is actually luring you into a sexual act. And many of the boys fall prey to this, and that's recorded and they are extorted. So that's one form of scam. Another one is where today a lot of young people in relationship are sharing their personal intimate pictures because you trust the person. But I'm saying do not trust the technology. If you have shared picture in trust today, tomorrow when there is a breakup, these pictures are used against you when it can become image based abuse. What if the other person's phone does not have enough security? What if those photos are compromised? What if they are hacked? What if they are, misused? All it takes is one picture and it can completely change your life, right? So you have to be very careful that where and what do I trust, right? And last but not the least, but the most alarming danger is the danger of various cyber crimes besides extortion and image based abuse and bullying. So if you are not using your screen safely, besides all that emotional and mental impact, you also have these problems to deal with, and can, actually have a very massive impact on your careers, your future, and your overall life and well-being. So now that we've seen all the dangers, how do we, take care of the problem, right? So that's where we've come up across our more than 10 years of experience, groundwork, and you know, knowledge, a self-regulation toolkit. Like I said, that I'm not against internet, I'm not against social media. Progress is, or moving ahead with technology is progressive. But at the same time, we need to have very clear boundaries. So these are certain areas, certain tools and techniques that you can use to create. Some tools are in your hands and some may be technology driven. So let's look at them. Number one, switch from mindless or a doom scroll to an intentional scrolling rule. Have you bring intention when you ask these three questions to yourself? That why are you on this particular app? How long will you stay? And what emotion are you in? Your emotion defines your reaction. If you're already feeling stressed out and you come across content that will validate that, will start amplifying your emotion. And it will make you very, very sensitive and you may impulsively react to it, right? How long will you stay is your boundary. That, okay, I need a break for 10 minutes, so I will stay 10 minutes. If you're crossing beyond 10 minutes, that's your alarm. That look, that means my emotional state is now taking over and I am not able to draw a line. And why are you here is where the rest two questions can be answered. Like, are you here out of boredom? Are you here because you want a break? Or are you here because of FOMO? Or are you here because of anxiety, fear, whatever your reason is? But ask yourself these three questions every time you pick up your phone. That's how a new habit will form, which is of your intentional scrolling. Yeah. The second tool or the technique that you can apply is a 20-minute rule, 2020, right? So every 20 minutes, take a 20-second pause, look at something which is 20 feet away, and take 20 deep breaths. This helps you in terms of breaking the trance that the screen has created or the trance that is created by the content that you're consuming, right? So let's say if you are on LinkedIn and you're looking at people's achievement, is that somewhere subconsciously the dialogue has started of which is starting to lower your self-worth and confidence. If at 20 minutes you stop, you can break free of that, bounce back to your confident self. That's why this rule is applicable. Whether you're studying, whether you are reading something, whether you are watching something, every 20 minutes, take a conscious 20-second pause. It also helps in dry eye syndrome. It also helps in your posture. So, along with 20 deep breaths, you can just do some stretching. If you're sitting, get up. If you're, lying down, sit up, etc. The next one is taking an emotional pause before you post. So every time you have an urge of liking, sharing, or commenting, this is what you ask yourself. That will I regret this if I post this, if I say this, if I forward this, etc. Would I say this to somebody in an offline world? Can I be comfortable saying somebody this on their face? And is this me? Is this my authentic voice? Am I this kind of a person? See, like I told you, that online world can bring out a different dimension in you. Like that trolling example I gave you, a very humble, a very polite, and a very, very sweet little young boy becoming a nasty troller online. So if these pause he would have taken, that no, this is not who I am, it could have saved him a lot of danger, right? So this pause is extremely important. Draw your digital boundaries. Have your timings for your devices. Keep your charging and nighttime routines a little off the device, and schedule certain dopamine detox hours. Dopamine is a brain chemical which is released every time we experience pleasure. and it's very addictive in nature. The moment we feel nice, we want to do that more. Why do people binge eat, binge watch, binge emote? It is because of these dopamine loops, So to break free from there, you should have a detox. And the best way to do a dopamine detox is silence. Just do nothing. Just sit there. Even if it is for 10 to 20 minutes. You don't have to sit in meditation necessarily, but not doing anything is a biggest way to break and get into the detox. You need to give your nervous system a good reset. So try walking without your phones. Try, music without multitasking. Music is an example. Any activity, one at a time. If you're studying, only study. If you're cooking, only cook. If you're driving, only drive. If you're listening to music, only listen to music. If you're watching something, only watch. And the most important is journaling. So there is a very big scientific reason behind it. See, in a second, our brain is capable of having thousands of thoughts. And some of them are lost, some of them we are ruminating, some of them stay with us. And the next thought or the next stimuli which we give, whether it is through visual, whether it is through audio, whether it is through touch, through the environment, through the senses, we get stimuli, right? So the next stimuli can have some thoughts carrying forward and some not. Now, in this whole anxious mind, what you pen down is what becoming your clarity. So, journaling is what can help you reflect on your own activities and your own thoughts and shape them in a much more productive manner. So, it's a simple framework that we put out that it's a summary of what we saw as, multiple tools, which is conscious consumption, that you have to be an intentional scroller. Always check your emotions. So apply a halt rule, which is never ever indulge with screens when you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. These are the most vulnerable times where you can end up with any kind of screen induced problems, whether it could be a bullying, trolling problem, you becoming a victim problem, or you becoming impulsive, aggressive, or emotionally overwhelmed, right? So that's very important. Then your screen time boundaries. Create those tech free zones, create those tech free hours, digital communication. Now, the world has moved from talking to texting, but nobody's taught us how to text, right? When we are young, we're sent to school to be learning how to talk, how to behave, how to write, how to think, all of this. But for texting, there has been no education. So we have to self educate ourselves. And in the texting world, the intent is the most difficult to establish because intent needs a stimuli to understand somebody's intent. See, now I'm talking to you via screen. You can see my face, you can hear me. So in this flow, if I tell you, come on, are you guys stupid? It'll not come across as misinterpreted intent, right? You heard me, you saw my expression, you have a context to this. So you know that yes, it was just an expression, no harm intended, no embarrassment intended, or no abuse intended, right? But the same thing on a group chat, if I just type that, are you stupid? You have not heard me, you have not seen me. So, how it can impact, it will depend on how you are emotionally at that point of time. If you're already stressed and a little, irritable at that point, it can aggravate it. It can feel like a personal insult. If you're damn chill and in a very happy space, you can easily ignore it. So, in the texting world, the intent is always very difficult to establish. It is always based on other person perceiving it the way they feel. So you have to be very very clear of your tone, of the choice of words, of the choice of platforms, of the choice of emojis. And the best way to do is pausing before you publish it or before you hit the send button. I'll also share one of a very beautiful app which is called as um what's its name? Uh, Give me a minute. I'm not so good with names, so I'll come to it as in. It's basically a keypad app, and it was made to actually help us get away with those nasty words and be very kind with them. I'll share the name with you as I go along, and if I remember. But yes, and if I don't remember right now, I'll share it with Naksh Foundation, and they will share it with you. Yes, so that is one. And of course, the last but most important aspect of the framework is about resilience, is about recovery. That, yes, you need to have detox windows, you need to have an offline activity to produce that kind of dopamine, which could be through movement, through sports, through music, through real conversations, right? Before we end, these are the three commitments that I want you all to make to yourself, that you will protect your peace, your privacy, and your attention online. If today you make these three commitments to yourself, you can ensure that you are able to implement those from frameworks and those regulation tools going ahead. And if you don't value your peace, you don't value your privacy or your attention, nobody else will ever value it. So the power always is in your hands. So I'll end with this very simple line for you to remember, that technology should only and only enhance our lives, not control it. So it's time we take back that control so that we can have a healthy online interaction. We can have safe screens and a very, very safe cyber interaction. So thank you so much for your time and attention. We can take questions if any. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that I can look at you all again. Yes,
Thank you,
here
ma'am,
we
for
are.
thank you,
Most
ma'am,
welcome.
for such an insightful and eye-opening session. Today's discussion has made us understand that digital well-being is as important as digital security. Now the floor is open for questions. Participants may drop your questions in the chat box, or if they wish to speak, they can unmute their mics. We'll take as many questions as time permits.
Thank you, ma'am. This was a uniquely wonderful session. I mean, so
I'm
many
glad.
things we end up doing and we didn't realize. Thank you for this eye opener. Extremely grateful. Thank you, ma'am.
My pleasure.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Swati.
Yes, hi. Hi, Swati.
Uh, Hi, ma'am. I used to scroll and I watch reels, and I'm comparing myself with theirs, like their color, their situation, their
Correct.
like their body structure, and also like their I'm comparing all of my situations that I couldn't privilege, I am comparing with others. What he,
Oh.
uh, what is the solution, ma'am, for that?
See, Swati, you're not alone. If you're constantly shown, only success stories of other people's life, the comparison is very natural, right? So, a very simple example. Remember that if you tomorrow have to post something online, let's say you've got ready for an occasion and you're looking nice and you want to take a picture, there'll be 5 6 pictures. You will select the best one and put it. You're not going to put ones which have a little bit of, maybe the lighting issue, or maybe your smile is not good enough, right? So what it tells us, that we only put the best moments. So for the solution, the first step is that understanding. You have to remind yourself that, okay, what I'm looking at is also having a lot of effort behind. So if we are looking at somebody's success, like somebody's pushed that, completed this particular certification or landed a job over here, rather than just comparing it to the job, reach out to them, ask them that what has your journey been, right? Remind yourself that there is always a journey behind. Like I'll tell you a very simple example. I am in this domain for more than now 25 years. I started in 2000, right? We are in 2026, and in April I will complete 26 years. After 21 years of my work is where I got my first TEDx talk. But today I have children who have just passed out, like maybe 20, 21-year old, and they write to me that how to become a TEDx speaker. I have to remind them that, okay, let's let your work take you there. Everybody will have their own timelines. What we are being sold today is that whole, race of 20 under 20 and 30 under 30 and 40 under 40. For whom? Even if you feature in a 30 under 30, it's very momentary. That post will stay there maximum for 1 day, 2 day. After that, what? After that, you're back to being who you are. So, whether to participate in that race or not is a choice. And that is where your power comes. You ask yourself that what is that I want to achieve? Do I have my own goals, or I'm just looking at other people and making goals for myself? Like, ठीक है, इसने ये किया है तो मैं भी ये कर लेती हूँ. No, because then there will never be satisfaction. And learn to believe or have faith in the timing of your own life. Each one of us will get our share of success, our share of effort, reward, everything at its right time. At present, I don't know what's your age group, but if you are in that age of 20 to 30, your focus should ideally be on basically putting in the effort. Enjoy the effort. Rewards are not going anywhere. When I started this career, there was no term of cyber psychology, right? But it was my interest in the human behavior, that how do they behave online. I run a company, or I started my career as being founder of a web development company, and which I still run it. But the whole idea कि हम किसके लिए ये बना रहे हैं, who, what will they look at and what will impact them, that is where the quest started. But if I would have focused on कि अच्छा मैं ऐसा करूंगी तो मैं कहाँ पहुंचूंगी, that time that option was not there, only that career was not there only, then I would have not reached where I am today. So you have to only enjoy the work that you're doing and keep your eyes and ears open. Go with the flow. If a new opportunity is showing up, something new which you think will, I'll enjoy learning this thing, go with it. So once you have that clarity for yourself, that what I want in life, this comparison will reduce. Then it will always remind you that, okay, your path is different. Even if you're not two students, let's say you both pass out engineering, for example, or you pass out, let's say, psychology at the same in the same batch, and this, your starting point will still be different. So the comparison is never going to be a very, very fair one, right? So that's how you have to condition yourself. This envy is not going to go away anywhere, and it's damn subtle. Like I have clients who feel very anxious because they don't have anything to post. Even if it is like now the Holi is coming, right? So all of us will have on our statuses Happy Holi, and some of us will have our pictures in Holi and all, and the ones do not have anyone to play with, or ones who don't like playing, now they go into this whole sad zone of, I'm so lonely, I don't know how to celebrate, the world out there is celebrating. But believe me, is it factual? Is there a way you can identify what I'm feeling is right? I don't know if that person has photoshopped their image. I don't know if they played Holi and then later they've had some kind of allergy and whatnot. So many parameters, positive, negative, both. So if you remind yourself that do I want to be part of the race, or do I want to trust my own journey and my timing of my life? That's what can empower you. So I hope this helps.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And
Yes.
I'm a law college student, first year law student. My age is 21, ma'am.
Okay. So at this age and stage, focus on what you want to do as work. See, a lot of young students who come for career, they say, but I'm not enjoying. I said, this is not that age to enjoy. You enjoy your work when you've already invested 20, 30 years in it. You all are just starting. Right now, find the purpose. Why I want to do this? Is money my purpose? Is, contributing to my organization my purpose? Is making my identity my purpose? Once you have that little clarity, then you can, move forward with a better goal. At this age, that should be the focus, not the outcome. The certificates are not going anywhere. Recognitions will come. Your work will take you places.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Most welcome.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah. Hi.
Ma'am, I'm Anushka, and
Hi,
right now
Anushka.
I'm a college student. So I want to ask
Okay.
that um, we have most of our academic works online. Like we have to check our portals every day for attendance and
Correct.
all. So and also there are so many assignments and assessments to do online. We also study from YouTube and all sometimes. So there is like one thing that we sit for a productive session and then end up scrolling through our phones for hours, and it happens a lot. Like it's from my own experience, I'm saying. So can you just tell me that how do we set some boundaries so that we understand that when it's a productive hour and when we just end up depending on our unhealthy addiction?
True. See, I understand that a lot of our work related, our education related, and communication related activities are also requiring screens today. Uh, every screen, at least every phone has a screen time app in that, right? So, which will classify what's your productive usage and what is your entertainment usage. Use the technology as the first step to set limits. So, let's say you set a limit for Instagram as 20 minutes, you set a limit for Snapchat as another 20 minutes, etc., etc. Next thing to do is that your productive usage, keep it on a different device which does not have access to your non-productive usage. So, for example, if you're doing for college work for assignments, use a laptop or a desktop computer on which you need not sign on to an Instagram, and it's not having those apps which will constantly keep pinging. Then the next what you can do is in the phones, there are certain profiles, work profile, home profile, DND profile. Set those profiles. They see technology has a lot of measures to facilitate a healthy usage. So set those profiles that yes, between a 10 and 6, which is maybe my work hour, maybe my college hour, or between a 10 and 2 or something, all other notifications are muted, so there is less distraction. If you feel that like every time I do an assignment then I want a break and then I go on scrolling, 20 20 20 rule. So you can break that cycle at 20 and then keep the phone away. And lastly, keeping the phone physically away also helps, because when it's not in front of you the urge is different. When it is in front of you it's very convenient, and then we end up spending so much more time. So unfortunately there is no harsh mechanism that you can apply that no I matlab, phone ko हाथ लगाऊंगी तो current lag jayega. Nothing like that is available today and it's not going to be available either. It's always going to be as a self control restraint. So you start conditioning your brain. You feel bored, you maybe substitute it with another activity which is a little more healthy. So keep some nuts over there, chew those nuts, have a gum while studying. So when your mouth is working, your brain is more activated, right? If your mouth is not working, you can get bored a little faster, a little easier, or you can lose your attention much faster. So these are some ways where you can figure out, but there's no foolproof, act task or something or tool or technique that अच्छा ये करोगे तो 100% it will work for you. No, unfortunately, we don't have.
No, no, it's understandable. Like not only me, I've seen few of my friends, when we sit together to
All of
study in library, we I have seen that it's different for everyone. Someone does assignments for a few minutes and then they start scrolling. Someone is
correct.
so focused, they put their earphones on, they listen to a music and they do it. So that's the
True.
thing.
So see,
I get
we
easily
should
distracted
figure
from
out
music.
our ways, but best is to keep the device away.
Okay.
If your device is around you, it will run in the back of your mind. If it is not with you, you will start. So if you do this every day, that every time you enter a library, keep the bag and the phone outside. That's how initial 2 3 days there will be a lot of resistance. There'll be an urge ke jaake leke aao, go 10 times to the toilet just to access your bag, etc. But if you continue this for a few more days, the brain starts adapting. It starts understanding I don't need that. That's how it can help. So figure out ways in which it works for you. Like you said, for somebody music can work, for somebody something else can work. So it's up to us to keep on trying because these devices are made for distraction. I mean that's where the revenue is for them, right?
Yes, ma'am. And algorithms are really another thing. Like if we search something online and then suddenly the YouTube feed is filled with, suppose a particular dress or jewelry, then
Yes,
all the videos come one by one. Especially during the
absolutely.
facelift seasons, it's very.
It is. Yes, it's all you see. That is how they are designed, right? How will they earn revenue? It is from your attention. It is from your activities that you do online.
Yes, ma'am. Thank.
Pleasure.
Ma'am, we have a question from Ambuj Raj. How can
Okay.
parents and teachers support children's digital well-being?
Okay. Thank you so much for asking. And so let me start by saying that just last night I have published a very beautifully structured program on Udemy on parenting in the digital era. In this, I've explained different tools, different techniques, how to manage overall well being, where it includes your screen time management, your behavioral impact, your concentration, your language, so many other things that are impacted by the screen. So, of course, that I will leave the link and you can do this. However, at the same time, uh, there are a few things that you need to understand that children today are born in the digital era, right? So if you are going to expect them to understand the dangers of the digital world, it's not going to be easy, right? Because for them, it's a very comfortable space. It is for us parents who have migrated to adopting the technology as such. So, with the new type of parenting and the new environment, our parenting also needs to change. We have to understand screens better. We have to navigate children to these screens better. Most commonly what we see that every time a parent sees the child on the screen, there is an instant reaction, pura time phone pe baitha rahega. You know, the phone is going to do this to you, and the phone is, or some parents even snatch it. None of this can work. You have to understand that if the child is glued to the phone, that means it is some emotion that that phone is fulfilling for them, right? You will find that, not necessarily that children or anybody who's glued to the phone is only and only because they are doom scrolling, or is only because they are hooked on to some game or something. It is largely where it is, dependent usage of the phone is where it is fulfilling certain emotional block. So, in these times for parents, what is important is to not be reactive, but to respond, not be judgmental about children's or, the loved ones' phone usage, but be a more empathetic and understanding. And how to do this is what I have explained in the course. So, of course, you all can, check it out. We are running a promotional offer for this month of March. It's a launch month and only for invited few parents. So, if any one of you all knows somebody who can benefit, you can please share the link. I'll share it on the chat as well. Yes, I hope that gives you some insight when it comes to, parenting challenges and how do we navigate those.
Thank you, ma'am, for answering all the questions with such clarity and depth. Your insights have truly helped us rethink our relationship with technology, not just as users, but as mindful digital citizens. With this, the Cyber Sunday episode 5 comes to an end. On behalf of Project CyberShield, we extend our heartfelt gratitude to Ms. Nirali Bhatia for sharing her valuable knowledge with us today. Participants are requested to fill out the post assessment form, which will be shared on the screens very much soon. Until next Sunday, stay aware, stay responsible, and keep strengthening the shield. Thank you, and have a safe evening.
Thank you so much. Lakshita, I will share with you the name of the app which I was saying,
Sure.
which I'm not able to recollect at this moment. So I'll share it with you and you can share it with the audience listening. And in regarding the parenting course, I put out the link in case any one of y'all are know somebody who may benefit from this. Please do share.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. Thank
Thank you very
you.
much, ma'am.
See you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
The post assessment feedback form is there on the screens. You can scan the QR code. Also, the link has been shared in the chat bot. Uh, the participants are requested to please fill the form so they can be eligible for certification. Without filling the form, there might be issues with your attendance.